LivingEmunah, book number 2, by Rabbi David Asher. Part 25. It's the effort that counts. The Gemara in Bava Metzia 86b states that Hashem rewarded Abraham for caring for his 3 guests by caring for his descendants, Bnei Israel, for 40 years in the wilderness. In reward for Abraham serving his guest food, Hashem provided Bnei Israel with manna. In reward for Abraham's giving his guest water, Hashem provided Bnei Israel with the miraculous well of Miriam. In reward for Abraham standing over his guests as they ate, Hashem provided Bnei Israel with the clouds of glory that surrounded and hovered over them to protect them. The Bayam Derech raises the question of why this particular act of hospitality yielded such immense reward. Abraham devoted his life to kindness and hospitality. He frequently hosted people in need and cared for them, yet specifically for hosting these 3 guests, who turned out to be angels, who did not even need any food, water, or other provisions. Abraham was rewarded with 40 years of miraculous sustenance and protection for an entire nation. Why? The Bayam Derech answers that the value of a mitzvah is measured not by the outcome, but rather by the effort entailed. When Abraham hosted the 3 angels, he was 99 years old, and it was the 3rd day since his Brit Milah, when his pain was at its peak. Moreover, the Midrash relates that Hashem made that day the hottest day in history, and let's not forget that there was no air conditioning. It took extraordinary effort for Abraham to care for his guests that day, and this is why this particular mitzvah was so precious and valuable. The fact that no one actually benefited from his effort is immaterial. Sometimes people invest considerable time and effort for the sake of a mitzvah, but in the end it doesn't work out and the mitzvah goes unfulfilled. A person in this situation might assume that the time and effort invested were for naught. But this is incorrect. Hashem is not concerned with results. He is interested in our efforts. If a person tried hard, then he was successful, regardless of the outcome. Since the results are not what matters, each and every one of us has the opportunity to serve Hashem equally, regardless of what we were given in life. A person with a little money can earn more reward for giving charity than a wealthy philanthropist. The amount one gives is not what's important. It's the difficulty and effort entailed in performing a mitzvah. The harder it is, the greater the reward. A young man told me that he was struggling to learn Torah, but no matter how hard he tried and how much he prayed, he could not succeed. He just could not understand the material. His greatest desire was to learn Torah, but after consistently failing, he started thinking he should give up. Then late one night, he was getting ready for bed when he realized that he had not yet recited Ma'ariv. He was very tired and was about to get into bed, but he struggled with himself, got dressed, and drove to a synagogue that had a late-night minyan. He told me this was one of the best prayers he ever recited. He was anxious to get home and finally get to sleep, but as he was leaving, someone stopped him and asked him for a ride home. The last thing he wanted to do was to go out of his way, but he overcame his initial resistance and agreed. The person whom he drove home that night became his study partner for the next 2.5 years. That person had the skills and tools to bring out this young man's potential, and he began growing in Torah. It was as though Hashem sent him Eliyahu Hanavi to help him. He earned this blessing not simply because he prayed Ma'ariv with the minyan, but because he struggled to overcome a challenge that stood in the way of performing a mitzvah. Mizras Nefesh, exerting oneself and sacrificing for a mitzvah, brings great blessing. The Gemara in Shabbat 33b relates that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai used to bring his questions to his father-in-law, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, who would give 12 answers to every question posed to him. After Rabbi Shimon spent many years in the cave studying Torah, His father-in-law would ask him questions, and he would give 24 answers to each question. It is clear from the Gemara that Rabbi Shimon became great because of the difficulty and hardship he endured studying Torah all those years in the cave. Persevering through difficult challenges provides a person with a golden opportunity to achieve greatness. And so the next time we set out to do something and are confronted with obstacles, we must realize that Hashem is not turning us away, but is rather giving us the opportunity to become great. Even if it does not work out in the end, nevertheless, if we tried, then we have succeeded.